Have you ever wondered what your laundry detergent and your razor have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing. But behind the scenes, so many of the brands we use every single day are connected in this kind of hidden family tree. Today, we're going to uncover the blueprint that organizes all the brands around us. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a little puzzle. You've got Tide, the laundry powerhouse, you've got Pampers, the absolute go-to for diapers, and you've got Gillette, a giant in shaving. I mean, they serve completely different needs for totally different people. So what on earth is the one thing that actually connects all of them?
And the answer is, they're all owned by one single parent company, Procter & Gamble. This is a perfect example of something called brand architecture. It's this invisible system that companies use to organize their brand families. Sometimes it's right there in plain sight, and other times it's completely behind the scenes.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll talk about why brands even need organizing. Then, we'll get into the blueprint itself. After that, we'll break down the three main family models, dig into the strategy behind them, and finally, show you how to make sense of all this brand chaos out in the wild.
So, you might be asking, why is this whole thing even necessary? Well, picture a company that's growing like crazy. It's launching new products, it's buying up smaller companies, and all of a sudden, it's got this messy, chaotic portfolio of brands that don't seem connected. This is what brand strategists call brand chaos. And, this chaos isn't just messy, it's really bad for business. If you don't have a clear structure, you end up confusing your customers and you dilute the value, what we call the brand equity, of your brands. So brand architecture is the solution. It's all about turning that chaos into clarity so customers know exactly who you are and what you're all about.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what exactly is the solution? Well, think of brand architecture as the foundational blueprint for a company's entire brand portfolio. It's basically the set of rules that defines how every single part of the family relates to every other part.
So, the official definition is a system for organizing brands, products, and services to show how a parent brand and its sub-brands all relate. But here's the real key. This is not just some internal org chart. Its success is totally measured from the outside in by whether or not customers actually get it.
And this brings us to some really common misconceptions. Brand strategy consultant Felicia Rose is super clear about this. Brand architecture is not your internal company chart. It is not just a list of your products. It's not your website's sitemap. And maybe most importantly, it is not just about how your logos look next to each other. At its heart, this is pure business strategy.
Okay, so how does this strategy actually come to life? Well, it really boils down to three core models. Let's think of them as the different ways a brand family can be structured. First up, we have what's called the branded house. This is like a very, very tight-knit family. You have a single, powerful master brand that acts as this huge umbrella, and every single product or service shares that exact same brand name and identity.
Now, the upside here is massive. You get to focus all of your marketing energy on building one giant, trusted brand. It's super efficient. The downside? Well, if one product runs into trouble, it can poison the well for the entire family. Everything, and I mean everything, rests on the master brand's reputation.
And the textbook example here is Apple. I mean, think about it. From the iPhone to the iMac to Apple TV, every single product carries and reinforces that master Apple brand. The trust you have in your iPhone is designed to transfer directly to your decision to buy a Mac. It's all connected.
Next, we have the complete opposite, the house of brands. In this model, the parent company is way in the background, sometimes almost invisible to you, the consumer. It owns a whole portfolio of totally distinct, individual brands that each stand on their own 2 feet.
The strategic play here is all about market domination. You can launch very specific brands that target very niche audiences. And if one of those brands fails, no big deal. The parent company is protected. But the cost is enormous. You're basically building every single brand from the ground up, each with its own massive marketing budget.
And this brings us right back to where we started. Procter & Gamble, right? You buy Tide, not P&G laundry soap. Tide, Pampers, and Gillette each have their own separate identity, their own separate audience, and their own separate marketing machine. This lets P&G just dominate the store shelves, covering a massive range of consumer needs.
All right, our third model is basically a mix of the first two. It's called a hybrid or endorsed model. You can think of this one like a blended family, where some brands are really clearly tied to the parent, while others get to maintain more of their own independence. The big advantage here is just pure flexibility. You can lean on the parent brand's reputation when it helps, but you can also let other brands do their own thing. The trade-off? Well, without some crystal clear rules, this model can get really confusing for customers and become an absolute nightmare to manage internally.
Marriott is the perfect real-world example of this. You've got brands like Courtyard by Marriott, which are very clearly endorsed by the parent, but Marriott also owns brands like Sheraton and Westin, which keep their own unique identities while still being part of the bigger Marriott Bonvoy family.
Okay, now that we know the models, let's go a level deeper. Because choosing a brand's architecture isn't about making a pretty logo chart. It's a fundamental business strategy about controlling how value, or brand equity, actually flows through your company.
And this brings us to a really critical concept from Felicia Rose: brand equity flow. Think of it like this. The whole purpose of your brand architecture is to direct where brand value ends up. Are you trying to channel all that value back to the master brand, like Apple does? Or are you trying to build it up in individual brands, like P&G does?
The Morningstar case study is just a perfect example of this in action. For years, people thought of them for one thing: financial ratings, but their business had grown way beyond that, into wealth management and indexes. The problem was, public perception was stuck in the past. So they made a strategic choice: a branded house model. By creating these family brands like Morningstar Wealth and Morningstar Indexes, they could signal their new skills while making sure all that new value flowed directly back to strengthen the master Morningstar brand.
So we've covered the problem, we've looked at the blueprint, we've gone through the models, and we've talked about the strategy. Let's bring it all home. What is the ultimate point of all this work? You know, at the end of the day, a really good brand architecture should basically be invisible. When it's working well, you don't even notice it. As a customer, if you can look at a company's products and just get it, if you can intuitively figure out what you need, then the architecture has done its job. It's really the art of turning chaos into clarity. So now you kind of have brand X-ray vision. You can start to see these hidden structures everywhere you look. So I'll leave you with one final puzzle. Take a look at this collection of brands. You've got some that are clearly endorsed, right? Like Courtyard by Marriott. And then you have others that stand alone, like Sheraton. But they are all part of one big portfolio. So based on everything we've just covered, how would you classify this family? The answer is right there in the models we've just explored.